So hey guys, these new cards just dropped in this pack, so this time around I've actually read them all ahead of time. Well, for the new cards at least. Wait. Is this not? Oh wait, I hit the wrong button. Alright, it is a new card. So, a lot of noteworthy cards just dropped, so notably True V Karma. This is mostly played for the graveyard effect, I believe. So if this is in the graveyard, this allows you to add any of those Vice's field spells like, what was it? Primitive Planet Perlarino, or something like that, whatever. And then there is like, wait, Primeval Planet Perlarino? Was that what it was? And then like, Raidsoth as well. Whatever planet Raidsoth was. Peaceful Planet Calarium, whatever. So, if this is in the graveyard, you can add one of these. This can moderately beat that card that everyone's been dumping instead, like Rainbow Bridge of Salvation or whatever. So, instead of that, you can run this, and then we have Bestial Dispater. Dispater is pretty cracked, so notably this just can shuffle any card back into the deck, which is pretty interesting, as well as the effect to destroy or negate an effect. So you have to pick one. You either destroy or you negate. You cannot do both, which is interesting about this, but it also has the special summon a banished light or dark monster back. So that effect is nice. And we won't go through all of the cards, just the ones that are noteworthy in my opinion. So then we have Despian Lulu Lilith. So this card is interesting because this is just a generic negate that can be done whenever. So soft once per turn. If a card leaves the extra deck, you can make all monsters you currently control gain 500 attack permanently. So permanently, notably, is like a really rare text. This is on like 3 total cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think. Alright, then you can negate the effects of one face-up card on the field until the end of the turn, which is interesting because you can technically control like 3 copies of Lulu Lilith, which is funny. So this card actually is like good and bad simultaneously. It's kind of like iffy, right? So let's say if I control Despian Lulu Lilith and my opponent special summons Yugioh, for example, and tries to do Yugioh search, it will be their turn. So because of how chains work, I will be able to chain Despian Lulu Lilith to my opponent's effect here, right? So it will go, well, let's pretend they don't have Moyi, or it's not a factor. Honestly, it's not. So it will go chain 1, Yugioh, chain 2, Moyi, and then chain 3, Lulu Lilith effects. And then this will negate the copy of Yugioh. And that's fine. This also has kind of a little bit of a floaty effect, which is not like that important in my opinion. But anyways, if your opponent special summons Yugioh, yeah, that will be the trigger because Yugioh will technically leave the extra deck, right? And then that's how that chain would work. But that's only on your opponent's turn after you summon Lulu Lilith. What about the something a little bit different? What if I have, for example, a copy of Lulu Lilith and then my opponent special summons something? So we'll use a funny card that does something when it's summoned. So let's go with Goatee. So let's say for whatever reason I control Despian Lulu Lilith, and then my opponent playing Goatee goes ahead and summons their copy of the Big Fish. Whatever it was called. don't remember off the top of my head somehow. But anyways, let's say they go ahead and summon that. So now the chain order will be Despian, Lulu, will Lilith will be chain 1 because you are the turn player. And then the trigger effect, so on special summon, effect to banish all cards on the field, that will trigger next. So first off, this actually targets, so when it banishes itself, you're not able to target it to negate, right? Well, actually, it doesn't target, now that I look at it closely, but that doesn't really matter because the chain order is wrong, so the effect will resolve, so it doesn't do a whole lot for you. What is interesting, though, is you can technically negate, like, a spell or trap this way, but it's a little bit hard to do so, because this is an if effect. So this will mostly negate like continuous spells or traps, but not really like something like a Raigeki. So notably, you can trigger this yourself. If you, for example, control a Mirror Jade and Lulu will Lilith, you can go ahead Mirror Jade effect to send Albion from the extra deck to the graveyard, and then boom, Despian Lulu will Lilith is triggered in the next chain. So, for example, if your opponent were to do something like well, wouldn't be Brand Infusion, but let's say Stake Your Soul, then you can chain to Stake Your Soul like some sort of effect that will help you out with this. Just to send an extra deck card from your graveyard, or your extra deck to the graveyard or something. And then that will trigger this, and then you'd be able to instantly negate Rosin if it chains like either effect. So yeah, that's how that would work. And this happens as chain 1 probably in this case. No, chain 2, assuming Rosin effect to search is used. This will be chain 2, and then that'll negate it that way. But of course, the other way, once again, if we just have like rock, summon, Rosin, you're not negating it. So a little bit weird in that regard, but still like overall decent, right? Vanadium Prime Heart, we don't talk about this card. Gate Guardians combined, it for sure exists. And then Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. Well, actually, let's go ahead and cover this effect. So essentially, this effect is if your opponent targets, you can negate that card effect. Does it destroy? Yes, it destroys. And you can do that 3 times. Great. Vanadium Prime Heart, really nothing to talk about there. And then we have Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. So this is branded Expulsion, but now I guess it's like a 2-card combo. I think. Maybe it is still a 1-card combo and I haven't like looked at the cards hard enough, but yeah. This is branded Expulsion as a monster. Target 2 monsters in any graveyard, special summon both monsters, 1 to each field. Yeah, so this is just going to floodgate you basically. Cool. And then Vicious Astrolabe. This is like a decent combo piece with Cross Sheep, so you can special summon this using material from your graveyard, and then this will trigger Cross Sheep, bringing back like a tuner or something probably, or not. This can just bring back a level 4 Lord monster, which is just useful in general. And yeah, so you can target 1 other monster on the field, destroy it, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to half of that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher. So this effect here is also useful for going second, so overall a decent card. Guiding Quim. So basically what this card does is this helps you recycle your branded fusion, and this also allows you to special summon Fallen of Albaz on your opponent's turn. And yeah, that's about it. But I guess this can also special summon back some other monsters. I'm not completely sure what it summons back. Dogmatic Theo, the Iron Punch. Does this mention Fallen of Albaz? No. Fallen of Albaz. You can special summon Albaz the Ashen. This doesn't mention Fallen of Albaz. This is annoying. Does this mention Fallen of Albaz? Yes. So it brings back Mirror Jade. If it is technically in the graveyard, you can special summon a Mirror Jade back as well. So this card, under the right conditions, can be kind of annoying. Vanadium Rhymeheart. This guy for sure exists. We won't go too much into that. Vanadium right now I don't think is super good, so no point in covering them in my opinion. So Ringo Worm, the dragon guarding the 100 apples. This is pretty interesting. So it's a dragon tuner. So if you have a token or a face-up non-effect monster, so it could be well, I think normal monsters are categorized as non-effect monsters, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, if you have a face-up non-effect monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then if you synchro summoned, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a 100 apples token. And the player who summoned it can treat it as a tuner for a synchro summon. So you aren't locked, so you could also use the token to link summon technically if you wanted, or you can use it as a non-tuner, which is pretty interesting. So it's a tuner or a non-tuner. So this is like two bodies. Maybe there's something you can do with this, not 100% sure. And then this, what was it? Does this do anything? No, not really. Cool. And then let's keep going, and yeah, here we go. Brightest Blazing Branded King. So this card is new. You can choose one fusion monster you control that mentions Fallen of Alabas as material and negate the effects of all other face-up cards currently on the field until the end of this turn. During the end phase, if a fusion monster or monsters was sent to your graveyard this turn, you can add this card from the graveyard to your hand. You can only use one Brightest Blazing Branded King effect per turn and only once that turn. So you can't recycle this like on the turn you activate the effect, but this card is easy to search because it has the word branded in it, so it is indeed a branded card. So in fact, you can actually Foolish Burial Goods this essentially. So let's say you Serenir to send this, and then you at some point a fusion monster gets sent to your graveyard during this turn. You can add this card from the graveyard to your hand. So that's not super useful because you can't set it, but it is what it is, I guess. But notably, what this can do is this can negate spells and traps, which was kind of a moderate issue with branded. So if for example your opponent just activates Evenly Matched, you had no counterplay to that. Your opponent activates Raigeki, no counterplay. So this here is the counterplay to that essentially, because this can negate normal spells, traps, quick plays, whatever. That negates all cards. So it can have a bit of a downside, like it can negate your branded Regained, your branded Beast. So yeah, that sucks, but it is technically like an Omni negate to an extent, and your boards are kind of Mirror Jade Pass, and then it doesn't affect your back row that's set like branded in red. And then I think that is pretty much everything super worth mentioning. Except, oh yeah, there's this Jane card, which is interesting. Activate by discarding one card, then target up to 2 monsters in your graveyard, special summon them when any of those monsters leave the field. Destroy this card when this card leaves the field. Destroy those monsters. You can only activate 1 double hooking per turn. So, pretty interesting. So, notably, this actually destroys those monsters. So if you were to play this with, like, for example, Tearlament, I think this might trigger Tearlament effects in some funny ways. So like special summon Sharon, special summon, let's say Rhino send, I don't know, Havness, and then Havness, Kelos with Rhino, and then this triggers double hooking to destroy Sharon, I guess, and then that would trigger Sharon's effect to special summon. So, I mean, that's funny if you consider it that way. I don't think it's like a game changer for anything though. Probably has some niche uses like that. And I think that is pretty much everything super worth mention. Oh, actually I missed one. Fallen of Argyros. So this card is actually pretty cracked right now. So the fact is, if a level or rank / link 2 monsters on the field, so basically like the sprite condition but better. Sprites actually, I believe, I don't remember exactly the condition, but link 2 is not typically on sprite cards. So if you were to control a Sprite Elf, you can't actually special summon Sprite Blue from hand. And I can confirm this because I played Sprite Danger Dark World. So yeah. So anyways, special summon this card from your hand, and it's to either field, which allows this card to simultaneously negatively impact Kashtira decks, and also not just Kashtira, but Pearly as well. So this card is particularly good against those two decks. So XYZ decks in general will not deal with Fallen of Argyros that well. But yeah, this also can be used against Sprite with to decent effect. So notably, Gigantic can be negated by this, kind of. So to resolve Gigantic, you must detach an XYZ material from one of your monsters, I believe. Would have to check it. I don't think it's any monster. It has to be one XYZ monster that you control has to detach one for effect. So then Fallen of Argyros can just remove all your all of your XYZ materials, and then you can't detach, and then that just prevents you from special summoning a level 2 from your deck. So that can hurt a lot there. And this also combos well with notably like what was it called? So the rank 8 Gigantic Gigantic Champion Sargus. So this can detach like a material from Sargus and trigger that effect because it's just an XYZ monster on the field. So if you gave this to a Kashtira pilot though, they would have to crash this and lose their battle phase. Or if you have all of your monsters in defense position, they can't crash this and they're just stuck with Fallen of Argyros and unable to play. So in best of 3, I think this might be a lot better than it seems. So of course against Pearly, this is actually pretty good, going first or second. So notably, all of the Pearly monsters are actually rank 2 monsters, I believe, is what they count as. So you can special summon like Fallen over Gyros, and then you can remove their abilities to use quick effects by detaching the Pearlies. So if they do not have the level 1 like Pearlies, then they no longer have quick effects. So this actually can like deal with X Pearly Noir for you by removing the level 1 Pearly, and then it is no longer a quick effect, and that's pretty cool. Since this actually detaches XYZ materials, this does not necessarily affect XYZ monsters. So, funnily enough, this would also help you out with Rongominiad, who is a truly unaffected monster, but of course its XYZ materials are not unaffected, and that's how that ruling works. So, no, I'm not saying Rongominiad can be brought back, but yeah. Fallen of Argyros definitely has some usages. So there are decks that you don't really do much with Fallen of Argyros, but it will still be at least a body. So notably, if you play this in Sprite, this is still a level 2 guy you can just potentially just special summon onto your field, which is pretty nice. And being able to help you out like the Pearly XYZs and deal with them is pretty nice. Just in general. So Fallen of Argyros, maybe he'll have like some way to play with Therion. That's kind of my hope, because I want to try playing this with rank 8, and I think that's pretty cool. And I think that is pretty much everything, right? This one is really weird, right? Synchro summon 1, including a Drain Monster. So while you control Abyssal Monster, this negatively affects certain combo decks. Yeah, okay. And that is pretty much everything here in terms of the new cards that just dropped here. And I guess Dragon Rulers came back as well, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.